afternoon. Aloha, everybody. So one quick start is, this is a brand new stage for us at PTC. And those of you who are unfamiliar with the term Alaka'i, it translates, it's a term in Hawaii that means to lead and to direct. And that could not be more fitting than the session and speakers that we have. For industry government titans, I will say. And I'm so happy to welcome them to the PTC stage, and thank you for joining us here this week and in this session. So as you all know, since you all are here, we're going to talk about digital infra in the state. Lots going on, to mildly put it. But again, we have 4 experts here going to drive us through some of the updates on what's going on and the innovations happening. So we'll get started. The state it's more than a tropical paradise. It's a strategic hub for global connectivity and a critical link in the Pacific's digital infrastructure development. With projects like Pacific Connect, a $1 billion initiative to upgrade undersea fiber optic cables, the state is addressing key challenges while unlocking opportunities in building critical infrastructure. From expanding broadband access to modernizing systems and leveraging its unique location, Hawaii is paving the way for a more connected, resilient, and innovative future. This panel brings together leaders from government, industry, and academia to discuss the state's role in shaping the global digital economy and leveraging its strategic position in the Pacific. So let's get started. Lieutenant Governor, first question. Hawaii has a unique geographic position that makes it both an asset and a challenge when it comes to infra development. How do you see the state leveraging its location to play a more significant role in global connectivity?
No, great question. But before I start, let me just congratulate you, because even the makeup of this room is, it really shouts out innovation and something different. And we always come to conferences at the Hilton and many of the hotel partners here in Waikiki, and you never see this kind of dynamic conversation and dynamic kind of connection like we have seen at PTC. So congratulations to all the members who are registered, and congratulations to everything that's going on. Just before this, many of us participated, including you, Brian, in a press conference today. The state of Hawaii, thanks to the work of the University of Hawaii and Garrett Yoshimi there, just announced that we got the go-ahead from the federal government. A lot of times we've been hearing news that the federal government is clawing back many of its broadband money. Well, for the state of Hawaii, we are one of 18 states that have gotten the go-ahead to receive $149 million in BEAD funding. That is going to help us provide connectivity to many of the communities throughout the state. For the state of Hawaii, Brian, you're so right. We are the most isolated landmass in the world. The isolated landmass and the isolated population, it comes with challenges, but it also comes with different advantages. So for instance, in order for many of the subsea cables that connect internet, you have to come to the most isolated landmass, and that's why we are strategically located in the world to be that connection from Asia to the continental US, or even Australia, Fiji. So we are benefiting from that. So we're just very lucky to be in this position.
Great. And moving over to connectivity, Sue, as the telco provider here in Hawaii, what challenges do you face in delivering reliable high-speed internet across the state, and how are you addressing them?
Yeah, thank you. So first, I echo Lieutenant Governor's comments. Congratulations on a record PTC. I think it really shines a spotlight on just the kind of innovation, the kind of conversations that are happening right here in Hawaii. And I love the fact that we have all these visitors coming to the state. Please shop, please eat, please spend all your money right here in Hawaii. So thank you and welcome. So when we think about deploying broadband in the state of Hawaii, I think Lieutenant Governor touched on some really good points. We are very isolated, right? We're 2,500 miles from the West Coast. So there are some pretty obvious challenges there. I think challenges logistically that most of us in this room can probably sort of intuitively think through. Interestingly, one of the challenges that we faced that maybe was a bit of a surprise to me, is there were days when it felt more like we were like a landscaping company than we were a fiber broadband company. I mean, the terrain out there is incredibly challenging, right? And so our teams are out there clearing vegetation. They're dealing with not just islands separated by ocean, but they're dealing with lava rock, right? Yeah. Lava flows, actual active volcanoes. And so I'm incredibly proud of our team. I think they're the best of the best. And so we were really, really excited to actually announce that we're going to be investing $1.7 billion thanks to the leadership and support of our parent, Altifiber, to make Hawaii the very first fully fiber-enabled state in the country. The reason I think it's important for us to talk about that, one is it's really cool, but two, as we've talked about here, access to broadband is no longer a nice to have, right? And this conversation around bridging the digital divide, it's a very important, critical conversation for us to have. And so for us in Hawaii and for us at Hawaiian Telcom, really our mission is very clear, right? And we're really focused on reliable, affordable, high-speed internet access across Hawaii, regardless of your zip code. It's incredibly important to us. This is our home, right? This is not just a place we do business. And so I think our team feels a really deep sense of kuleana around what it is we're providing for the state. And candidly, it's transformative infrastructure, right? And so I think our team, again, is really proud to be a part of this. The partnership that we have with the state makes it possible, right? The BEAD funding that we were able to announce earlier today, it makes it possible for us to get to the most remote, the most candidly places that would be cost prohibitive otherwise. That's what these federal programs were designed to do. And so thrilled to be here sharing the stage with Lieutenant Governor to talk about the really, again, innovative, aggressive investments we're making in digital infrastructure in Hawaii.
Congratulations. Congratulations on everything you're doing. I
have two words.
Yes, please.
Polytunnel. Can we get...
Oh, polytunnel.
Yes. Sorry, Brian, go ahead. Sue knows what I'm talking about.
I think the audience knows what you're talking about? No?
Maybe some.
Okay. Rosa, data centers. I think we'd be amiss if we didn't talk about data centers at the conference this week and on this panel. So as our resident data center expert on the panel, and data centers and other digital infra are becoming increasingly critical in today's economy, obviously. What trends are you seeing in data storage and management, and how is Hawaii positioned to meet the needs of local businesses and global networks?
Yeah, the biggest trend, which probably everyone is talking about in this conference, call it a bubble or not, it's AI, AI automation. And with that is two important factors that feed into it, and that is power and connectivity, and getting that connectivity with the most efficient latency as possible. And so that is where we are spending most of our resources in ensuring that our power is available and ready for our customers when they need it. With DRFortress, we are working with Hawaiian Electric to expand our power availability for our customers. We've requested 6 megawatts to feed into our facility. With our partner Aloha Nap facility, they are now breaking ground with a 1 megawatt expansion that will build into 3 megawatts. So for the mainland, that sounds like a small amount of power. For Hawaii, that is very large. For a tier 3 city, that type of power needed in Hawaii is a much needed power source. And so we are investing millions of dollars into the facilities in order to make sure that our customers are going to be able to feed that AI machines. The GPUs are not going to cool themselves. And so we need to be ready to get those guys ready and going. So that's power. On the connectivity side, I mean, we are working with LG and the Ocean Networks team on the HIFL system. We are going to be the cable landing station for the inner island cable. And so we'll be working with Hawaiian Electric on that, where the cable system is going to be going they're going to be building the fiber from the cable landing manhole all the way to the cable landing station at DRFortress. So we are supporting that from start to finish. So with that connectivity for the inner island, and then of course supporting Google and Hawai'i and attracting other systems in order to bring more connectivity to the island. Our goal for DRFortress is adding more carriers. Just the more carriers, the more connectivity is coming to the island. As you said, we do not have the option of having the island, the 2,500 miles away, have no connectivity options. So that's been our lifelong mission for DRFortress, to just have that connectivity options for our customers and for our residents.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Wendy, first, congratulations. I think 1-year anniversary has come up at the University of Hawaii. Yep. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You've been a leader and champion in the first year of really bringing on innovation. And we're talking about AI that Rosa mentioned. So the university plays an important role in innovation and preparing the workforce for the future. How are you aligning your educational programs, research efforts to support the state's infra development and digital transformation?
So first, I just have to say, this room is really cool. I feel like we should be smoking cigarettes and having a jazz band in back of us to get the full flavor. But it's, and I say that as a joke, but also because it is about looking at things differently. Right? Higher education is not a particularly nimble bureaucracy. And so being able to recognize our role in the ecosystem, not just to be a partner, but to drive change that's needed in order for these type of projects to survive. And so for us, it really means partnerships across the board, and hopefully both before we develop those curricular pathways, but also after. So for example, in the AI space, we are infusing every degree with AI. Even as you look at this particular industry, telecom, 60% I'm hearing of management and leaders are scheduled to retire in the next 15 years or so, 10 to 15 years. And so if we're not addressing that by creating the next generation of talent, Hawaii will be in serious trouble. It's hard to bring people in. It's hard when they come in to keep them. And so we have to have that homegrown talent and the opportunities to really thrive here in the island. So in addition to the curricular piece, we're also beginning to push internships and experiential learning on the ground, which I think is particularly important for this industry, which reports really high percentages of on-the-job training. So if we can help infuse those skills as they're learning their degree programs, they can come out much more ready to go and partner with industry to make sure we're right where they need to be.
Yeah, and you started to answer, and you did. It's differentiating the university from others, right? Maybe on the mainland, that this is a place you want to go to school, right? Mm-hmm. Higher education.
Well, we are the only system of public education in Hawaii. We have 10 different campuses on 5 islands and 5 education centers. And we're all part of that ecosystem, from the PhD level, the engineers, the leaders of tomorrow, but also the technical people that will need to be on the front lines, installing the infrastructure and maintaining it. So taking a very linear approach, I think, to education in the past and transitioning it to interdisciplinary, problem-solving, system-wide type of evaluations is really the value add that we can bring to this industry at this moment.
Great. Sue and Rosa, back to you. Hawaii's infrastructure challenges are unique due to its remote location, which we touched on a couple times already, and vulnerability to natural disasters. Mm-hmm. How are these factors influencing the design and implementation of your current and future projects?
I'll start.
Yeah, please.
Well, the first thing, and I guess I'm preaching to the choir for any of the data centers out there. First requirements, at least when we selected the DRFortress and the Aloha Nap locations, was location, 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 right? We don't want to be in a flood zone. We don't want to be in a tsunami zone. For Hawaii, we don't want to be in an extended tsunami zone. So that's quite important. In addition, you want to be in a location that has power availability or land available so that you could self-generate for power. And then, of course, one of the most important to and dear to my heart is the meshed connectivity availability. So having that infrastructure ready to go for a facility is just very important, just being able to have that. And then for, having all of the disaster, I mean, you can have your site be ready for any sort of disaster on the island, but really with any business, data center, telecom, university, your weakest link is really, the biggest fault you have. So training our staff for any sort of disaster is something that we take very seriously. We have annual drills for hurricanes. We invest quite a bit in any sort of training for our staff. So just investing in the training for that type of ensuring that not only is our staff ready to support the infrastructure is very important to us as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to add to that?
Ditto. all of that. I guess the simple way for me to answer your question would be sort of resiliency is at the core of our network architecture and design. Like everything that we do is around making sure that our networks are resilient. Especially because we live in an island community, right? It's incredibly important. Maybe I'll talk about a couple things really quickly. So in addition to sort of the last mile investments we're making in fiber, we are in partnership with the NTIA and the University of Hawaii building a brand new geographically diverse subsea cable connecting the Hawaiian Islands. And it's the first middle mile cable connecting the Hawaiian Islands that's running a northern path. So the existing cables all run a southern path. And so I think that's going to be incredibly important to like hardening the state's broadband infrastructure. So projects like that are incredibly important. We were able to partner again with NTIA, and we received $37 million of NTIA broadband middle mile funding to help us design and build and deliver that project, which will be RFS in 2028. So we're really excited about that project and what that will do. Another quick story I'll tell, and this is sort of one of these situations where our legacy telco background actually helps us. So when the Lahaina wildfires happened, which was, of course, incredibly devastating, about 2 days after the fires occurred, I flew over to Lahaina with our teams, and we drove into Lahaina, and it was easily one of the most surreal experiences because all around we have a central office in Lahaina. All around our central office was just utter devastation. And our Lahaina central office was still standing. And not only was it still standing, we walked into the building and it was cool. So the HVAC system was still operating. It was obviously running on our backup generator power. But that's why I'm saying, it is at the core of what we do and everything that we do. And that was like a real life example of when you design networks and the way we design networks, we were able to restore service to that community relatively quickly because of that, right? So, it is incredibly important.
So this is my last question, but it's going to involve all of you. I think if you've already heard from our speakers is that we should be proud as a state of all the innovation in tech in all of our different sectors and industries. And so the question, Lieutenant Governor, starting with you is, we've talked about collaboration. Wendy mentioned that between government, private companies, and academia is essential for large infra projects. What's the key to building effective partnerships in Hawaii, first, as a state? But then what could other regions, countries, et cetera, learn from everything the four of you have accomplished here? The state can be a role model, right? We don't need to be second fiddle anymore. I think, again, we've taught the audience that there's a lot of incredible things happening. So from each of your perspectives, what would you share?
You know, what's going on in this broadband space is just really incredible, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to be in a place where we're connecting 7,000 communities that are either underserved or unserved within the state of Hawaii. That kind of investment and that kind of work does not happen on a regular basis, but it takes everybody. One of the things that I'm going to point out, Garrett Yoshimi from the University of Hawaii team, when we got the opportunity from the federal government to receive large amount of broadband funding, we said, okay, one of the things that we need to prove to not just ourselves, but to the federal government and to the world is we can bring all kinds of infrastructure, but if we don't connect the islands so that the islands are resilient, then there is going to be challenges, because we can bring the Google lines and Hawaiian Telcom can connect terrestrial from community to community, but we have an obligation to connect all the islands. And the question was, if we're going to invest a large part of money into connecting the islands, will other investors come and take interest? And the answer is yes. And so that led to different type of folks looking at Hawaii even more and saying, hey, if we're gonna take a huge amount of federal funds and invest in certain areas that people are not normally gonna see, then Google was definitely interested. Other companies are interested, and that led to even more investment. But I think sometimes, you know, you gotta make a leap of faith, and you have to make investments, which you're not gonna see maybe in the next few years, but in 5 to 10 years, it's gonna pay huge dividends.
I think so.
Yeah, sort of going right off of that, I think it's the power of proactive engagement at scale. When you have all partners working toward the same end versus us not talking to each other and hoping that the pieces will fall into place when they need to be in place, versus intentionally designing the system and the procedure to ensure that that happens, you get fragmented results. And I think this is a great example of how, again, that ecosystem of higher education and industry and government really identified, here's the issue that can be solved only by all of us, and then put the money to make sure that that happened. So very effective.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sue?
It's always hard going like later on in a conversation like this, right? It's like all of that. I guess what I'd say is, in order to make all of this possible, everything that Lieutenant Governor talked about, and of course Wendy talked about, I think it comes down to relationships. And certainly in the state of Hawaii, you know, we talk about the degrees of separation, right? In the state of Hawaii, we laugh and joke that in Hawaii it's 1 degree of separation, right? It's somebody's, you know, friend, husband, wife, daughter, right? There's always some kind of connection, and it's a deep connection, right? And so I think, as I talked about this sort of sense of kuleana or responsibility in Hawaii, I think that those deep connections and relationships make us want to partner with each other and be good partners with each other, right? Because we have to rely on each other to be successful. We cannot do this alone. And so I think that that is maybe why we're successful and why partnerships like this work in Hawaii. I'm not sure that I can translate that into what do other places do, but I think the relationship piece of it is incredibly important.
Thank you. Rosa?
Yeah. Ditto. But actually, one of the, the collaboration that is going on with the Hensel system is really historical, right? I mean, we've never gotten the federal support, the federal funding. We've never worked with so many different organizations, the university, the state, Hawaiian Electric, Ocean Networks, all of the investors and funding that we need in order to get this together. And I mean, DRFortress is just a small part of it, but I'm so proud to be part of this historical piece and supporting the system. And and so it's just an amazing opportunity to be able to take the state of Hawaii into the next level. And it's just an amazing opportunity. So with that, I'm going to pick on Garrett one more time because this, sorry, Garrett.
Garrett's right here.
Yeah, Garrett's right here, is sitting next to Fred. But with that, I want to just support another very important program that Wendy and Garrett support, and that's the Leap Start program, which I want to always kind of do a shout out for any of the Hawaii businesses here. That is an IT. Not all the students have to be in the IT program, but the students that we use have IT or in the majors of any sort of IT specialty, but we support the students. We have brought in the students. We kind of do a sort of a pseudo internship at DRFortress. We've actually hired one of the students. And so with that, that's kind of another, if you want to say, if that's program can be mirrored across the country. I mean, I'm sure a lot of universities have that, but that's just working, again, 1 degree of separation. We work very closely with Garrett. We work very closely with Alan Ito, but working very closely with that and supporting, growing that IT community. I mean, we're so small. We need to invest in the university students, bringing them up. So yeah, it takes a lot of my resources to train those students, but I think it comes back. Even if I cannot hire them all, if they go out and go work for HT or they go and work for any of the business communities that are either my customers, even my competitors, it's great. It's rising the level in Hawaii, and so I commend that program. I support that program, and it's something, again, it's a government university type of program that I think is really important to Hawaii. So it's a little different than everybody, and that's the positive of being last on a panel.
What a great way to end it.
Thank you.
And I'm going to add to something Sue said earlier. As you've heard from our speakers, please spend your money. It's not only about retail, personal shop, but I think Hawaii is open for business, right, from a technology standpoint. This is a strategic hub. There's obviously a lot going on in the state. So please join me in thanking our esteemed speakers here for their time.